Welcome to Gurukul Live Lectures. The topic of today is very interesting, called creativity and innovation. So we'll be starting with a very important case of Apple. After the forced exit of Steve Jobs way back in 1985, Apple entered into a very chaotic era of having, depressed profits, low sales, and overall the appropriate strategies were not in place because of the forced exit of Steve Jobs. This I am talking about way back in 1985. Owing to this particular fact that he is not a part of the company, so the company faced a lot of bad situations, chaotic situations, and overall the market success was very low, the market share was also very low, the competition was intense, and definitely with the giant companies called IBM. So during this particular period, Apple faced n number of challenges, like number of failed products were there, unstable strategies were there. The clear mission was absent, completely absent when you talk about Apple. And it was only when the Steve Jobs returned in 1997 upon Apple's acquisition of Next, the company's operations were invigorated with refined thinking. So the strategies were, objectives were there, everything was redefined. Owing to this particular fact that this particular new strategies which Steve Jobs thought about can take again the company to new heights. So this actually happened, and if you talk about today, the strategies which were built by Steve Jobs in way back in 1997, they are applicable today also. So his policies, his mission, his vision was very strong, and we call it as a vision statement, the mission statement, and they are very much applicable in the today's present contemporary world. So during this particular period, Apple faced number of challenges, like large number of failed products were there, unstable strategies were there, unclear vision was there, and it was only for the Steve Jobs returned way back in 1997 that everything was in place. So we'll talk something about this particular case of design, rethinking and innovation factory at Apple. This is a landmark case in itself. So Steve started to apply new creative ways of designing the products using the design thinking, which reflected his vision for Apple products. The vision was used to form the Apple strategy way back in 1997 until now. The Steve Jobs applied the design thinking by focusing on people's needs and desires rather than only on the needs of the business, and building a simple yet user-friendly products rather than complex, hard to use products. So there's one thing I want to highlight here, that when you talked about Steve Jobs, the holistic approach was adopted by him. Holistic approach basically means that he cared about the vision, the needs, the desires of the customers as a whole also. It is not just that he focused on what the company wanted. So he took the desires of the company at large, he took the desires of the people at large, that what they wanted, how they wanted, what changes in the products they wanted. So he incorporated those particular changes which the customers wanted, and as well as of the company itself, and so he formed a very good, the design thinking strategies for the company, which was a very successful thing for the company Apple. Meanwhile, Apple also developed the innovative factory at the company to promote the creativity and innovation among the employees. So today's presentation and lecture is focused upon the importance of creativity and innovation, and how these two particular attributes, if you adopt and incorporate in your corporate culture, then that sky's limit for you. The success has no limits, and you can reach heights, and the heights have no limits. The sky is the limit for you. So this was proved by Steve Jobs by incorporating a very good strategy, by incorporating the creativity and innovation at its best, and this was focused on the overall mission, which is still applicable in the present world of today. So taking it forward, the design thinking and innovation strategy at Apple has led the Apple to emerge as one of the most innovative company in the world, and of course this is a very amazing thing for a company. And innovation and creativity, game-changing innovations such as iPods, iPads, iTunes and iPhones while leaving its users a marvel at its innovation and still asking for more. If you think think about any feature, it is there in Apple. So this is what the customers wanted. So after incorporating the desires and the way the customers think that I want a particular app like this, and it is there in the smartphones, so they are so happy to use it. So innovation and creativity can do wonders for the company as it did for Apple. So now coming on to the conceptual framework of what creativity is all about. So that is why I started with a very good example of Apple, so that you can have a basic understanding of how innovation and creativity can play a pivotal role in the strategy building of the company. So creativity is the ability of a person to conceive something unpredictable, original and unique. So not only this, it is definitely creating of certain new ideas and alternatives, solutions, possibilities, and anything given unique is definitely a very, very different way. And if you talk about creativity, it is like a mirror of how beautifully a person can think in any of the given circumstances. So definitely it can, when you talk about creativity, the creativity can be genetic, it can be non-genetic activity also. So it is not at all and only connected with your genetic factors, it could be non-genetic also. And it can be developed if someone keeps on learning and comprehending the things with a rare and exclusive perception. Expressive, exciting, and definitely one of the major and most important factor is being imaginative. So creativity is basically a brainstorming and mind-blogging session activity, keeping on learning, comprehending inputs with definitely a very rare and exceptional perception. You have to have that particular perception which is uncommon in nature and exclusive and rare in nature, because people nowadays want something different. If you have seen the particular advertisements and the promotion strategies of many companies, so they are selling their products with only one tagline, that is, our product is different. So overall, this difference in the product, this rare feature of your product, this creativity of your product, this innovation of your product can do wonders for, enhancing your profits, increasing your market share, increasing your market success rate, and of course the market penetration ratio as well. So these things are very pivotal for the company, and all these things are kept in mind while strategizing the promotion policy, the advertising policy of any kind of a company. So creation and overall the innovation, they have a very significant role to play, and of course these kind of activities can unveil any kind of previous activities, and they can definitely increase the size of the profits, the market share, the market penetration ratio, and the market sales, etc. Now coming on to the definitional aspect of what creativity is all about. So we will give you a very important definition which has been given by Oxford Dictionary. So what it says, let us have a look on this. Creativity means the use of imagination and original ideas to create something. Now characteristics of a creative entrepreneur, following the characteristics are indicative of a creative entrepreneur. Now an entrepreneur adheres to the rules and the principles only when they add value to the organization, and definitely they have a potential to attract more customers. Not only this, an entrepreneur experiments with his ideas, and the first step, later converting ideas into implementation. An entrepreneur is less afraid to lose and is always keen to experiment in new ventures. The entrepreneur is not afraid of creativity and believes that creative ideas will only help his enterprises. So the entrepreneur is giving lot of importance onto the creativity, creative ideas, rare perception, so that he can concentrate on the road of success, which can only be given by creativity and innovation, which is at its best. And definitely he is not apprehensive of using the new ideas, because he has to understand that ideas can change your life. The ideas are so vital for the organization to carry on with the competitive world. And in fact, this is the only USP of any kind of a factor. If you are using the creativity and the innovation, it can take your organization to top. So a creative thinker will always take inspiration from the new ideas in every area, directly or indirectly, which is related to the enterprise. Now coming on to the basic understanding of the other factors, an entrepreneur is not afraid to go beyond the industry and enter the new markets. This opens a wide range of opportunities to formulate the new niches. Every product and service is not good enough and has a room for improvement. So if you are creating something new, if you are adding, some of the good features which are not there in the existing product, this is also not enough. Because if you talk about innovation and creativity, this has to be an ongoing activity. And ongoing activity says what? That of course, if you keep on adding, then it is going to keep on adding to your profits as well. So see the understanding and the importance and the significance of innovation and creativity. That if it is a one-time activity, it is not going to pay you. If it is an ongoing activity, of course, the mileage would be the maximum. The profits would be the maximum. The success will also be the maximum. So keeping into consideration these factors, the creativity and innovation has to be taken care of in every small respect to whatever you do, to whatever you strategize, to whatever you build of the products as well. So every product and service is not good enough and has a room for definitely improvement, because improvement can really add good features to your product, good mileage to your product as far as the selling part is concerned, as far as the market share is concerned. So they have a lot of good things which is definitely on a positive side of it, and but on the the other side of it, there are a lot of expenses which you have to take care of it. And of course, if you see the opportunities and the threat and the strength and the weakness, or you do the SWOT analysis of introducing the innovation and creativity, of course the positive side, that is the opportunity and the strengths, will be definitely more compared to threats and the weaknesses, because there is no substitute for creativity and innovativeness. Innovation is something, if you add any good features for definitely a commercial reason, so it is definitely different from invention, which is only done for the mankind. But if you are doing or adding some good features to your product with the commercial objective, we call it as innovation. So innovation has a lot of good place as far as the commerce and trade and industry is concerned. So a creative thinker is interested in bringing totally the opposite things together to create new products or services. An entrepreneur develops better or new products for existing services and the new services for the existing product. A creative manager is not afraid of appreciating new ideas irrespective of who comes up with. An entrepreneur shares an idea and is open to feedback that improves and redefines the ideas. So nowadays there is a lot of brainstorming sessions which the company does with the elite customers, with the customer groups, with the different different ages of the customers, so that they have a good fair idea of what the customers want. So they have a particular place, because we are living in an era of consumer sovereignty, whereas the consumer is considered as a king of the market. So what he wants, those features have to be added. If those features are ignored, then of course your product will ultimately be stop selling in the market, and probably you have to close the production of that particular product. You have to keep on adding the features to it, the new products to it, if you want to be a market leader. So nobody can substitute the creativity and the innovations as far as the market share is concerned. That is the only significant feature which can take you on the top, which can take you on the road of success, which can increase the market share, which can have a good market penetration ratio. So a creative entrepreneur is not afraid of definitely appreciating new ideas from where the ideas are coming. They are open to it. They have an open door policy in this regard, because they are discussing all these things which are coming from anybody's mouth, but yes, it should be good for the company. So there are a lot of good things which are for it, and of course we should welcome the new ideas and the innovation and the creativity as well. So a creative entrepreneur learns the different things, whether they are related to the industry or not. These indicators show that the entrepreneurial and creativity go hand in hand with each other. Creativity is one often seen as a quite essential trait of an entrepreneur. So now we are coming to a very pertinent topic of today, that is the importance of creativity in entrepreneurship. An entrepreneur is one who collects labor capital and keeps the business going on. So unless and until he is open to good ideas, the new ideas, the innovations, the creativity, he cannot make a mark in the market, he cannot have the good mileage in the market. So we are centering this part of our lecture onto the importance of the creativity and innovation as far as the entrepreneurship is concerned. So now taking it forward, creative thinking is definitely a must factor for skill of an entrepreneur for the creation of new ideas. Creativity allows a person to devise interesting processes, which gives numerous advantages to the entrepreneurs. The creativity leads to the success by what? Creating new ideas for competitive advantage. Not only this, the whole process of entrepreneurship is rooted in creation and exploration of the new ideas. When the entrepreneur is able to generate a new idea that is feasible as well as efficient, it gives him a competitive edge over his competitors. So developing the new products and improving the business is another most important factor when you talk about the creativity, innovation and entrepreneurship. So creativity helps to develop the new ways of improving an existing product or service and optimizing a business, and there is always a room for the improvement in the deliverables of an enterprise. So the deliverables of an enterprise is definitely a creative entrepreneur who can assess of how to do it. So thinking the unthinkable is another important feature which needs a good explanation. So creativity requires imagination to produce the most obscure ideas, and imagination is needed to cross the boundaries of usual and the normal, or to have a box thinking, of course. So it enables the entrepreneurs to think beyond the traditional solutions, come up with something new, interesting, versatile, and of course yet to have the success potential. Finding the similar patterns in the different areas is also very interesting. Sometimes due to the following a routine or an habit, the thinking process also goes along the line of those established processes. Creativity enables the people to connect with the dissimilar and unrelated subjects and make successful entrepreneurial ideas. Now, if you are always into a pattern matching, if you are deeply involved in creativity and out of box thinking, you will observe a dissimilar trends or similar trends in the dissimilar areas or in the similar areas, wherein your mind will work differently. You will come out with such good ideas which no one has thought about. So this is also one of the amazing features when you talk about creativity, innovation and entrepreneurial ideas, that if they all work together, then of course success is the only outcome which you can think about. So now if you merge the different fields, it creates interesting intersections that develops the new niches, which is not possible without creation and without innovation. So most of the people are afraid of bringing different disciplines together, but most interestingly, the ideas, they come from colliding the different fields together, and this is one of the interesting facts which we can think about. So the next is developing the new niches through the creativity and entrepreneurship. In the entrepreneurship, it is important that the new aspects of traditional business are explored, and this can only be a form of changing the method of manufacturing the product or delivering a service or the mechanism through which they are supplied to the users. All these areas can create a niche that can have a great potential in the business. It also formulates the best possible ideas. Not only this, it also allows for exploring the new horizons if you take in a holistic manner. So this has to be a very important activity that you have to read between the lines, you have to see the picture by unveiling what is happening around. So it enables an entrepreneur to evaluate and definitely ask the questions that has not been considered previously. So this is definitely going to give you a good entrepreneurial ideas. Working on unworkables, working on the things which has never been explored is definitely the key to success as far as the entrepreneurial ideas are concerned. So, it also helps in tracking very decisive actions in the future also, because you know what is what, you know what is creativity, you know what is innovation, you know what is entrepreneurial ideas. So, you have to amalgamate all together and see it in one frame for only one outcome, that is success, not the failure. So, now coming on to what is the process of creativity. So, you have to have the insights of what particular process is taken when you talk about the creativity at large. The process of creating interesting ventures is inherently dynamic and inherently versatile. A typical process of creativity goes into the following step. The first step when you talk about is your preparation. The first stage is the preparation of some basic ideas to hold on to. You start from the basic and you go on to the unbasic things. So, there has to be some inspiration, of course, when you start on the embark of creation and innovations. You have to start with something which is very basic, which is understandable to all. And of course, if you start from the basic, then you have the opportunity, you have the potential, you have all things to move on to an unusual factors and to unusual things. So, there has to be some inspiration which focuses or prepares an entrepreneur to move forward, and the entrepreneur in heart of hearts, he knows the power of creativity and of course, the power of innovation. If somebody has no knowledge about it, if somebody has no power of what it is, then there is no solution for that particular entrepreneur. He has to decline in any ways. So, as an entrepreneur, you have to understand what creativity is all about, what innovation is all about, how you can move on to a success road, and how particular and in what way these factors are important for the road of success. The creativity process started with identifying a problem and then of course researching for related information. This is done in an effort to start looking for a viable solution. An entrepreneur looks in every direction to solve the problem, but be it inside industry or outside the business domain. So, I think the first step is clear to everyone. Now, we are moving on to the step number 2, that is the process of creation. The step number 2 is thinking outside the box. You have to concentrate on a particular thing which nobody has seen before. So, you have to read between the lines, you have to see which nobody has seen before, and you have to think something which is out of box. So, out of box thinking is definitely the USP of a good entrepreneur, and this is the only thing which can give you a lot of success in whatever field you are entering into, be it increase in sales, be it a rise in the market share, be it coming up as a leader of the market, etc. So, step number 2 is thinking out of box. So, let us expand this particular point. So, going beyond the comfort zone, one has to leave the comfortable arena, go beyond, take a risk, reward, come with efforts, etc. So, thinking out of box is, and of course, it is an expression that has been seen in the areas of marketing, in the areas of psychology, business since 1970s. It owes its origin to a 9-dot game that was once used as a test of creativity. The puzzle was designed such that the person had to go beyond the dots to find out the solution. However, psychologists say that the external factor is not really external, it is simply the existing solution to the problem. So, external is the only how our brain tends to perceive it. So, perception also makes a lot of difference. So, coming on to step number 3, that is the process of creativity. It is incubation. So, incubation is one of the prime steps when you talk about the process of creativity. During the incubation stage, the ideas that have come the potential to solve the problem, they tend to flourish. This stage is definitely characterized by unconscious thought, that is the process of refining an idea. Apparently, there are many activities at work during this stage, but the overall goal is to find a solution. Evaluating the existing projects can help to generate the viable ideas. Some researchers even refer to the creativity process as a recreativity, since it takes inspiration from existing ideas, then molds them in a very innovative manner. So, now coming on to the step number 4, that is illumination. Incubation leads to the clarity of ideas. This is the solution finding stage. Now, the creativity process leads to the knowledge of some practical ideas that can be put to work, and it is like a light bulb moment, hence it is called the illumination. Illumination is all about small light which is coming from outside. So, now coming on to the step number 5, that is the process of creativity, is verification. This stage determines whether the found solution even has the potential to work or not. The ideas can either be accepted as such, modified with minor or major changes, rejected altogether, requiring that the whole process to be done again. So, now coming on to step number 6, that is the critical thinking. Critical thinking is perhaps the most important step of the creation process. Generating innovative ideas is comparatively an easier task. The major success of the entrepreneurial endeavors lies in the critical examination, the viability of an idea. It is it's simple to think about a different idea, but that idea, whether it is workable or not, it is viable or not, only the outcome of these two questions can give you the success, not just ideas. The workable ideas, the viable ideas can take you to the road of success, to the road of development, to the road of market share, to the road of penetration ratio. Nothing else, because it's very easy to think, but it is difficult to think of viable ideas. So, we work on that. Yes, the critical thinking has a very special place when you talk about the success of the entrepreneurs. The critical thinking enables an entrepreneur to self-judge in order to evaluate the ideas. It is defined a self-directed, self-disciplined, self-monitored, self-corrected process of evaluating an idea. No one else is aware of the aspects of the problem as well as the proposed solution like the entrepreneur does. Therefore, it is an honest opinion that we should have to work upon the viable ideas so that the success is all yours. The process of creativity, in which we talked about certain dynamic steps which have to be a part and parcel of the overall process of creativity. So, the first thing which we talked about is preparation, that you have to prepare nicely about what products you have to launch, the basic ideas which you have to hold upon, the forces behind it. So, you have to be very importantly prepared for the entrepreneurs to move forward. So, the step 2 which we talked about is thinking outside the box. So, unusual thinking can give you a good mileage as far as the market share is concerned. Step number 3 was incubation, that is basically the incubation stage. The ideas have the potential to solve the problem which tends to flourish. Then definitely we talked about the illumination part. The incubation leads to the clarity of ideas, and this is the solution finding stage of the entrepreneurial activity. And now the creativity process leads to the knowledge of some practical ideas that can be put to work, and of course, it is like a light bulb moment, and hence we call it as illumination. The step number 5 was verification, and this stage determines whether the found solution even has a potential to work or not. So, if there is not a workable ideas, definitely then it has to be reworked again. And of course, we have to give a lot of importance, that is step number 6, on the critical thinking. Normal thinking is very easy, but yes, the critical thinking involves lot of ifs, buts, logics, etc. So, you have to develop that to the best possible extent, that is the critical thinking, and it can give you the good results, and it can give you and it enables you to self-judge whether the ideas are workable or not, whether it is a self-disciplined work, it is a self-directed work, it is a self-motivated part, it is the self-corrective part, and a process of evaluating an idea. So, you have to evaluate the ideas on various parameters, and if you feel that idea is workable, then of course you move on. If the idea is not workable, then you have to say end to it, you have to rework it, and the potentials for the new ideas have to be reworked again if it is not a viable solution. So, the critical thinking has a very vital role to play, whether the viable thinking is there or not. So, taking it forward, the resulting potentialities, viable ideas can lead to a creation of actual entrepreneurial enterprises and improves the existing ones. Now, we are coming to a very important topic, that is entrepreneurship and creativity. How are they linked? We have now assessed that entrepreneurs can attribute their success to creativity, because this is supposed to be a success factor, one of the critical factors, one of the prime factors which can lead to the success roads. But what exactly links the entrepreneurship and creativity? This is one of the most important questions which rocks our mind, which blocks our mind. So, coming on to the answers of it, the entrepreneurs links the creative mind and the business mind together. In today's world, due to globalization and excessive industrialization, the products are manufactured and exported to the international markets. So, what is the result? As a result, it is definitely easier to access to every product and of course everywhere. The customer has the access to various kinds of products differing in terms of types and quality. So, what does a business person do in a market flooded areas and the products? How can someone think about manufacturing and supplying a product in the markets, and of course where the consumers already have their trusted preferences and so much of choices from choosing amongst them, and how can we make a product stand out from the rest? A creative mind answers all those questions. Creativity, it helps us to think about how to improve the existing products and the business practices at large. So, a brand might be very carefully established and popular among the customers, but there is always something which can be done differently from them and in a better way. So, what I am trying to hint is that whether the product is currently a failure or a success, or it is a complete success, still there is always a side of improvement, a bright side which is waiting. So, put in your best efforts, stay connected with the innovation and creativity if you want to achieve the success in the coming years. So, all your endeavors should be directed towards adding something new to the product, something innovative to the product, something creative to the product, and all these factors can give a very good mileage as far as the road of success is concerned. So, a creative mind is like an artist who creates a new and exciting patterns on the canvas. Creativity can come up with most unthinkable ideas and brings innovation into the existing practices and existing products, and can do wonders as far as the market share is concerned, market penetration is concerned, market success is concerned, the growth and development of that particular product is concerned. So, it is always a win-win situation for everything when the creativity and the innovation are at its best. So, creativity is simply the ability of imagination, and imagination leads to someone to reach never before explored areas. So, in the business terms, imagination alone is what is known as thinking out of box. Using imagination, and entrepreneurs can put aside the practical norms and think of something creative and innovative. However, creative mind has to have entrepreneurial skills to bring those creative ideas to life in a business setting. An entrepreneur assesses the requirements of how to execute the ideas by analyzing and available versus the required resources, how to establish a new enterprise and how to manage it efficiently. An entrepreneur designs the business models that can be supported and execute innovative ideas in the first place. An entrepreneur provides the science aspect about how to bring the artistic creativity to the life. So, therefore, an entrepreneur bridges the gap between the creative genius and a traditional business approach. Now, coming on to innovation part, because we are through with what creativity is. We have taken different insights of the creativity aspects, the definitional aspect, the process aspect, the role aspect, etc. Now is the time to discuss what innovation is all about. So, innovation is an act of application of new ideas resulting in creating a new defined product, services and the process, but yes, the purpose is always commercial in nature. So, innovation offers something novel for some value of the business organizations, government and society as well. The innovation could be the introduction of a new technology, the new production, the new product line, the new product segment, a new method of production and improvement in the existing product. So, all these are a part and parcel of the innovation. So, now coming on to the definitional aspect of what innovation is all about. So, we are giving you a definition which is given by OECD, that is the Organization of Economic Cooperation and Development. So, what it states, let us have a look on this. Innovation is production or adoption, assimilation and exploitation of a new value added novelty in economic and social spheres, renewal and enlargement of the products, services and the markets, development of new methods of production and establishment of a new management systems. So, the two main dimensions of innovations are degree of novelty, that is the patent, whether an innovation is new to a firm, new to the market, new to the industry or new to the world. The type of innovation, it is a process of product, service, system innovation. It is both a process and the outcome. The prime example of innovation is a meteoroid boom of Silicon Valley startups out of the Stanford Industrial Park. Another example involves the business incubators, a phenomena nurtured by the government around the world. So, it is close to the knowledge clusters. Mostly it is a research based program. So, like the universities or other government excellence centers which aim primarily to channel the generated knowledge to applied innovation outcomes in order to stimulate the regional and national economic growth. In the organizational context, innovation may be linked to a positive changes in efficiency, productivity, quality, competitiveness and of course, the market share. However, the recent research findings highlight the complementary role of the organizational culture in enabling the organizations to translate the innovative activity into a tangible performance and the improvements in this regard. So, organizations can also improve the profits and performance by providing the work groups opportunities, resources to innovate, and in addition to the employees' core job task, in the following the world top 10 innovative companies are depicted. So, these are the ones, the list of the world top 10 most innovative companies in 2018. The first is ServiceNow, the second is the Workday, the third is the Salesforce, the next is the Telsas, Amazon, Netflix, Hindustan Unilever, InCycle, Never and the Facebook. So, typically we distinguish between the two categories of the innovation. So, incremental innovation and the radical innovation are also as disruptive innovation. What radical information and innovation is all about? So, the radical innovation which we talk about as a disruptive innovation, this innovation aims to create a new product, a service, technology which definitely solves a need. So, you have to be very particular about if it solves a need, then it is definitely when you talk about we call it as a radical innovation or a disruptive innovation. So, the market had been previously expressed or which had been yet been seen as solvable. The new products or the solutions are based on the invention or the insight that is ahead of its time of the market. So, often the radical innovation is technologically driven, started from a new technology, looking for an application, and of course, the Apple computer is a prime example to this approach. Repeatedly, the company has managed to launch the products that opened the entire new categories of consumption or opened a service to the consumers that were not previously thought of as the potential use. This approach was clearly expressed in this quote by Steve Jobs, the late CEO of the Apple, in an interview in the Business Week. If I asked something who had only used a personal calculator what a Macintosh should be like, they could not have told me anything in this regard. So, there has to be no way to do a consumer research on it. So, I had to go create it and then show it to the people and say, now what do you think about it? So, another example can be a revolution in some home entertainment industry. So, the Wall Street by the growth of online entertainment companies like Netflix, Amazon Prime, Airtel TV, etc. These entities have transformed the movie rental business by streaming online all sorts of videos to the viewers across the different generations, and they enjoy working and flipping on to these online networks, and they are so happy to use it. So, the subscribers are increasing day by day. So, by subscribing these kind of service providers, a user derives the access to the thousands of videos which are still being at home. So, the radical innovation help an entrepreneur in the following ways. They prepare for the future growth, extend beyond the core and the creative new market niches and the customers. Increase in the profit margins among the product lines leads to effective handling of the competitive threats. So, you have to react in time to disruptive forces in the market by prompting the leaders to align different efforts with the consumer trends, analyze the competitive forces and develop the dynamic business strategies. So, you have to build an adaptive, innovative, friendly organizations, experiment with the new technologies, establish the means to launch the new offerings that offer utility as well as the novelty of the customer. So, you have to build a framework that enables the new ideas, excites the employees, develops their ability to implement and extend the ideas. So, the radical innovation requires the engagement of a wide audience of the stakeholders, customers, the business partners and employees in the developments of the new ideas that can lead to the future innovation. So, when the Harvard Business School professional, the Claret Christianians, introduced the concept of disruptive innovation in his book, The Innovator Dilemma, it was a revelation. In his study of why good firms fail, he found that what is normally concerned as best practice, listening to the customers, investing in continuous improvements, focusing on the bottom line, can be lethal in some situations. So, in a nutshell, what he discovered is that when the basis of competition changes due to technological shifts or other changes in the market setup, the companies can find themselves getting better and better at things which are desired by the people. So, you have to work what people want and do simply have to incorporate the strategies into the product, of course, to be a market leader. So, what happens when what happens is merely an innovating product won't help, one has to innovate the business model itself. So, what is incremental innovation? We are coming to this. So, it is the process of adjustments and gradual ongoing improvement, whether the radical innovation can be described as the exploration or not. The incremental innovation is exploitation, and the exploitation as builds up the new technologies and builds the new solutions by creating the new combinations of the existing products. So, it is worth pointing that many small adjustments eventually add a substantial change, and through a process of evaluation, not the revolution. So, for example, after the advent of mobile phones, sequentially companies enriched the experience of using the cell phone by adding features like LED screen, high picture quality, large one storage and so on. So, increase quarterly profits, squeeze out the efficiency gains among the product lines, process or the systems. So, you have to seek the articulated customer needs to be delighted customers. So, build on the existing core competencies and protect the existing market positions. You have to follow the traditional linear business planning models. Some large experiences like IBM, P&G, that is the Procter & Gamble, they invest ample resources in the labs to pursue the basic research. Others like Experian Data Labs encourage the researchers, engineers to go to the conferences and hold the internal seminars on what they learn. So, Google invites about 30 top researchers to spend a sabbatical year at a company and the funds 250 academic projects annually. So, this is the data in relation to this. So, the process, when you talk about the innovation, it has to be backed by an effective innovation process. The managers can advocate for helping and creating a sustainable model. A typical innovation program often starts with the following steps: idea generation, mobilization, inspiration for a new idea. Like for example, the Apple waited 3 years for MP3 player were introduced to create the iPods, so which was attractive, intuitive and offered a capacity of about 1000 songs. So conversely, the invention of these Scotch tapes was a brand new idea by the company 3M. The company 3M provides employees with a reasonable time, 15% of the work day, to explore the ideas outside their work assignments. So other organizations have followed this model. The robust organizations in general provide employees with the time and resources to innovate. The second is advocacy and screening. And the other aspects, when you talk about, the employees have to be a plenty of avenues to receive advocacy and the feedbacks. The organizations must understand the difficulties involved in evaluating them. The third is experimentation. The experimentation stage test an idea, such as a prototype or a pilot testing. And of course, if the experiment is good enough, the time is a very crucial factor. So many business experiments with the new products and services have come up in the market, offering a myriad services under one roof to the customer. For example, online grocery stores like Groupers, Big Basket, Bazaar Cart, One Kiryana, etc. So they offer good bargains and the deals to them. The next is your commercialization. Definitely it is a stage of innovation process when focusing the shifts from development to persuasion. So that's the only point where you make profits. So once your idea is refined, clarified, diffusion, this is a time to go for diffusion and implementation. So many researchers believe that diffusion, the company-wide acceptance of an innovative idea, the implementation sets up and everything needed to develop and utilize the products and innovation. And overall, when you talk about the diffusion part, the diffusion helps at all levels of an organization. This is a process often aided by the knowledge brokers and effective at presenting an innovation by using their awareness of a specific content and application into which an idea, products and services can be inserted. So after looking on to these aspects, so now is the time to talk about the other aspects. The list of 15 innovative companies is in front of you. So now we are talking about the Global Innovation Index, that is the GII. The GII ranking, published annually by the Cornell University Institute and the World Intellectual Property Organization, that is the WIPO, is a detailed quantitative tool employed to rank about 126 economies. So owing to this, we will have a very clear picture of who is innovating and who is not. So based on the 80 indicators ranging from intellectual property filing rates to a mobile application, creative, education spending and scientific and technical publications. So while the top 10 rankings are grabbed by the developed countries led by Switzerland, transnational economy like India has a long way to go, because it has to be and it can be reckoned as a powerhouse of innovation. So one of the India's arch rival, China, has bagged 17 ranking in GII ranking framework, wherein India is at the top 57th place only. The list of the top 10 most innovative countries is given as follows. So these are the countries which is in front of the screens. The first is the Switzerland, the second is the Netherlands, then is the Sweden, then is UK, Singapore, US, Poland, Denmark, Germany, Ireland, etc. So the innovation and the business role of the manager in promoting the innovations is at its top. The managers have to play a pivotal role in this regard. They have to pay a constant attention to the operational part, and they have to be very clear about ideas selected, evaluated and implemented. Managers must quickly respond to the external constituents and provide the opinion for experimentation also. So the right questions can accurately guide the innovation process to make it effective and relevant. They need to pay attention to the customer desires and perceptions if you want to have a success. The creative use of technology such as the data mining, persuasive community infrastructure is definitely most important aspect. They can establish a culture of innovation, And of course, an open and supportive environment can lead to organizational success as well as the recognition, professional growth of the employees, etc. So, now we are coming up to the last part, that is the conclusions. So, there is always a need to develop the entrepreneurial ecosystem in India. As a noble step towards initiative, Niti Aayog organizes the Entrepreneurs Development Program for various MSME units in different states of the country. Furthermore, to bring expertise of the people from industry, institutes, academia, even initiatives like Mentor India, series of lectures are being organized by Niti Aayog to still instill the drive of entrepreneurship among the people. So, the Darwin box, that is a closing case, an artificial intelligence based HRM software. It is a cloud based HRMS created by the trio of Rohit, Jayant and Chaitanya. The founders are formerly employees of McKinsey and E&Y and realized during their working there that organizations suffer from duplication as well as non-effective of multiple HR systems, incapable of furnishing integrated and updated information to various users, especially to the employees and the management. So, leveraging the technology, the trio developed a Darwin box that solves the problem of various IRR systems which are repetitive in nature and offering the solutions for the recruitment, the core HR process, employee engagement, performance, employee movements, etc. So, the artificial intelligence, their software allows the employees to use the services like Uber, Amazon, Mantra, Big Basket, Facebook, etc., while they also manage the work at home and the work at office. So, the geographical footprints of their clients are spread across the globe, catering to the numerous organizations. So, creativity is the ability of a person to conceive something new. It generates the new ideas, possibilities in a unique and a very different way, and advantages are immense and cannot be quantified. So, overall a big picture is that the creativity and innovation can lead to a new technology, new line segments, new production, new horizons, new arenas, new profits, new customer base, and overall the whole process we advocate in the favor of the business at large. And of course, the managers have to play a very vital role in the organizations that meets the challenges of innovation. So, I hope with these words the conceptual framework of creativity and innovation are clear to all of you. Any questions you can write to the email address which has been defined earlier in the part of the lecture, and we would be happy to answer you. Thank you so much.